You were once a world-famous singer. You had the fame, the money, the spotlight. People knew your name across countries. But deep down, something was missing. Could you take us back to those early years of your life and tell us what it really felt like behind the curtain of fame?
Yes, it's true. On the outside, I had everything people dream about. The big stage, the lights, the crowd screaming my name. I traveled first class. I stayed in the most luxurious hotels. Money was pouring in, and wherever I went, people treated me like a king. But when the concerts were over, when the lights went dark, I would sit alone in my hotel room, and the silence was deafening. That silence was louder than all the applause I had heard just hours earlier. You know, people think fame fills your heart. They think money solves your problems. But the truth is, fame makes you lonelier. Money gives you comfort, not peace. And I was living proof of that.
That's powerful. You're saying that despite living the dream life, you didn't feel fulfilled. What was going through your mind at that time?
I was confused. I couldn't understand why I felt so empty. I told myself, maybe I need another hit song. Maybe a bigger crowd, maybe another world tour. So I kept chasing. Every time I released a new album, I thought, this one will finally make me happy. But after the show ended, after the party was over, I would lie in bed and stare at the ceiling, and I would feel this huge emptiness inside me. A voice deep in my heart kept saying, this is not it. This is not why you were created. At first, I tried to drown that voice with more concerts, more fans, more distractions. But the more I ran, the louder that inner voice became.
Did the people around you notice this emptiness?
No, nobody knew. To my fans, I was this unstoppable star. To my friends, I was the life of the party. But they didn't see me when I was alone, crying silently in my room, asking myself, what's the point of all this? Why am I even here? It's a strange thing when you are surrounded by thousands of people and still feel completely alone. That was my reality.
That must have been very difficult. Was there a moment when you realized you couldn't go on like this?
Yes, there came a point where I felt completely drained. I thought, I have everything people dream of, and yet I feel like the poorest man alive. So I decided maybe the answer isn't in more fame or money. Maybe the answer is somewhere else. And that's when my journey began. I started traveling, not for concerts, not for tours, but to search for peace.
You decided to search for peace. Where did this journey take you?
I went everywhere. Europe, Asia, the Americas. I met spiritual teachers, monks, priests. I visited temples, monasteries, churches. I thought maybe meditation would give me peace. I tried yoga. I tried spiritual retreats. For a moment, I would feel calm, but it was temporary. The minute I returned to my old life, the emptiness returned. It was like trying to fill a broken jar. No matter how much water you pour in, it leaks out. I remember sitting on the balcony of a hotel in Paris after a show. The Eiffel Tower was glowing in the distance. People were celebrating. Music was in the air. But inside, I felt dead. I whispered to myself, what is wrong with me? Why can't I feel alive?
That sounds heartbreaking. You were searching the world, yet peace was nowhere to be found.
Exactly. And the more I searched, the more hopeless I became. I started thinking, maybe peace is just an illusion. Maybe life is only about surviving until we die. But deep down, I knew there had to be more. My heart wouldn't let me settle for that.
So what happened next? Was there a turning point in this journey?
Yes, one of the biggest turning points of my life. I was in Turkey, one of the most beautiful places I had ever been. The streets were alive with culture, history, and people. I got into a taxi, just like any other day. The driver had something playing on the radio. It sounded different, not like the music I was used to. It wasn't jazz, it wasn't pop, it wasn't rock. I leaned forward and asked him, what music is this? The driver smiled and replied, this is not music. This is the Quran, the words of God.
The Quran? How did you react when you heard that?
At first, I was surprised. I had heard of the Quran before, but I had no idea what it really was. To me, it just sounded like a melody, a recitation, but something in it touched my heart. It was as if the words were vibrating deep inside me, even though I didn't understand the language. I asked him, can you tell me what it means? And he translated the verse for me. Indeed, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace.
That's incredible. How did it feel hearing that verse for the first time?
It felt like lightning struck my heart. I froze. I couldn't couldn't believe it. Those words, "In the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace," it was exactly what I had been searching for all these years. I remember thinking, how could this book, written more than 1,400 years ago, describe the emptiness I've been feeling today? I felt tears in my eyes. For the first time in decades, I felt like God was speaking directly to me.
That moment must have been unforgettable. Did you realize then that this was the truth you were searching for?
I didn't fully realize it yet, but I knew something powerful had just happened. I couldn't get that verse out of my head. I kept repeating it to myself. "In the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace." That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed awake thinking about that verse. All the noise of fame, money, and concerts faded away. That one verse was louder than everything else. It was like God had reached out to me in the back of that taxi and whispered, "Come back to me."
After that powerful moment in the taxi, what did you do next? Did you go back home or did you continue your journey?
I went back home, but my heart stayed in that taxi. That verse followed me everywhere. "In the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace." It echoed in my mind day and night. When I got home, I couldn't go back to my old life. The stage, the parties, the interviews, they all felt so empty compared to that single verse. So I started reading. I bought a copy of the Quran in English. At first, I just wanted to know what it really said. But the more I read, the more I cried.
What was it about the Quran that touched you so deeply?
It was the directness. The Quran didn't talk like a philosophy book or a song lyric. It spoke like the voice of God, straight to the human heart. When I opened it randomly, I read verses about life, death, purpose, accountability, mercy. It was as if every page knew exactly what I was struggling with. I'll give you one example. I read the verse, "And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed life, and we will gather him on the day of resurrection blind." That verse broke me. I thought, this is me. This is my life. I turned away. I chased fame instead of God, and that's why I was so depressed inside.
That must have been overwhelming, realizing the Quran was describing your very life.
Yes, I couldn't deny it anymore. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't just another religious book. This was God's guidance. For months, I kept reading. I also started visiting mosques secretly. At first, I was afraid people would recognize me as the singer. But when I stepped into a mosque for the first time, something happened.
What happened when you entered the mosque for the first time?
It felt like stepping into another world. There was no stage, no spotlight, no screaming fans. Just silence, calmness. People praying shoulder to shoulder, no one caring about fame or status. One night, I was invited by an imam to sit with him. He asked me, "Do you believe in one God?" I said, "Yes." "Do you believe Muhammad is his messenger?" I hesitated, but deep down, I already knew it was true. He said gently, "Then why wait? Say the Shahada and start fresh." My heart started racing. My eyes filled with tears. I thought about all the years I had wasted chasing shadows. I thought about the emptiness, the loneliness. And then I said the words, "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah." I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness Muhammad is the messenger of Allah.
How did you feel in that moment?
Like I had been reborn. It was as if a heavy weight I had carried all my life suddenly fell off my shoulders. I couldn't stop crying. My chest felt light. My heart felt alive for the first time. I remembered the verse, "Indeed, Allah loves those who repent." And I thought, after all my sins, after all my mistakes, Allah still accepted me. That realization, it broke me. I cried like a child in that mosque.
How did the people in the mosque react when you took the Shahada?
They all stood up and hugged me. I remember dozens of men surrounding me, smiling, saying Allahu Akbar. They congratulated me like I had just won the greatest prize in the world. And honestly, it was the greatest prize. I had chased awards, gold records, platinum plaques, but none of them compared to the feeling of winning Allah's mercy. That night, as I walked out of the mosque, the world looked different. The same streets, the same sky, but my heart saw everything through new eyes.
But of course, life after Shahada isn't always easy. How did your family react when you returned home and told them?
That was the hardest part of my life. When I went back home, I didn't know how to tell them. I was afraid of losing their love, their support. For days, I kept it a secret. But eventually, I sat them down and said, "I am Muslim now." The silence in the room was heavier than any silence I had felt before. At first, they thought I was joking. Then they got angry. My parents were heartbroken. My siblings were confused. Friends who had been with me for years walked out of my life. Some of them said, "You betrayed us." Others said, This is just a phase. But most of them just left me.
That must have felt like losing everything all over again.
Yes, I lost my family's acceptance, my friends, my old life. But strangely, I wasn't empty anymore. For the first time in my life, even though I stood alone, I felt peace. I told myself, if Allah is with me, I am never truly alone. Still, it was painful. Nights when I cried, asking Allah to make it easier. Days when I wondered if I was strong enough. But every time I opened the Quran, I found the strength to keep going.
But you mentioned earlier that something incredible happened. Your brother also embraced Islam. How did that come about?
Yes, subhanallah. That was one of the most beautiful moments of my life. My younger brother had always been very close to me. He saw everything, the way I used to live, the fame, the concerts, the chaos. And he also saw the change in me after Islam. One day he said to me, "You're not the same person anymore. You used to be restless, always chasing something, never satisfied. But now you're calm. You smile differently. Your eyes look alive. What happened to you?" I told him, "It's Islam. It gave me peace." At first he just listened quietly. But over time, he kept asking questions. What do Muslims believe about God? What do you do in prayer? Why don't you drink anymore? Why did you give up music? I answered the best I could. I showed him verses from the Quran. I let him sit with me during Salah, and slowly the same light that touched me began to touch him. One night, he came to me with tears in his eyes and said, "I want what you have. I want that peace." And in the same mosque where I took my shahada, my brother took his. Watching him declare La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah was the proudest moment of my life.
That's powerful. Did his conversion affect the rest of your family?
Yes. When the rest of my family saw both of us change, our character, our peace, our new way of living, they couldn't ignore it. At first they resisted, but with time, some of them softened. Some may not have accepted Islam yet, but their hearts are more open now. And I believe, inshallah, Allah will guide them when the time is right.
Tell us about your life now. What has changed since you became Muslim?
Everything. My mornings begin with Fajr prayer, not with hangovers. My nights end with Quran, not with parties. I used to spend my energy entertaining millions of people, but feeling dead inside. Now, I spend my energy pleasing just one, Allah, and my heart feels alive. I don't chase crowds anymore. I chase sujood. I don't crave applause anymore. I crave Allah's mercy. And here's the miracle. The peace I searched for all over the world was waiting for me in submission to God.
Do you ever miss your old life? The fame, the music, the spotlight?
Not at all. That life was an illusion. It was like drinking salt water. The more I drank, the thirstier I became. Islam gave me pure water. Once you taste that, you can never go back.
Now that you've found peace, what's your purpose moving forward?
My purpose is to share this gift with others. I travel, I speak, I tell my story, not because I am important, but because Allah's mercy is important. I want people to know, no matter how lost you are, no matter how sinful your past, Allah can guide you. If He guided me, a man lost in fame, drowning in music, running from himself, He can guide anyone.
What message would you like to give to people listening to this podcast right now?
I want to say this from my heart. If you are searching for peace, stop looking in the wrong places. Peace is not in wealth, not in fame, not in people's approval. Real peace is only in remembering your Creator. The Quran says, whoever Allah guides, He is the rightly guided. So ask Allah for guidance. Just one sincere prayer, one honest moment with your heart can change your life forever.
Your story is incredibly moving. A superstar who walked away from everything the world chases to find peace in Islam. It's a reminder to all of us that true success isn't in being loved by millions, but in being loved by Allah.
Yes, if I could summarize my journey in one sentence, it would be this. I lost the world, but I found my soul, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.